Hey everybody, this is Josh Paul, host of the Small Marketing Teams podcast. I'm really glad that you're checking out the show today. If you're trying to grow your business and you're not a household name or a well-funded startup, you need to do things differently, and that's what we get into on this podcast. If that's you, go ahead and click subscribe on the screen right now so that you'll get notified when we put out new tips, new tutorials, and new advice for small marketing and sales teams. Let's talk about trust. If I said that there was an approach that you could take to marketing that would cost you $100,000, how would you feel? Small Marketing Teams, episode 20.
You're listening to the Small Marketing Team Show with Josh Paul, the podcast where you'll learn how to achieve big growth without a big budget.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in to today's session of the Small Marketing Teams Show, the podcast that marketers, salespeople, and business owners rely on to learn how to do more with less. Each week, I'll teach you how you can grow your company without the big budgets that we associate with marketing today. Whether you're the only marketer in your company and you're also the salesperson, the CEO, and the person who does payroll, or you have a marketing team big enough to need an org chart, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Josh Paul. Let's get started. In this episode of the Small Marketing Teams podcast, I want to talk about one of the most foundational parts of marketing. This is the reason why people don't invest in marketing. This is the reason why your plans to purchase a new platform or to spend on ads on a certain channel don't get approved. And in the end, it's the number one asset that you have as a small marketing team. And what I'm talking about is trust. This is a huge part of every strategy, every tactic, every channel, every headline, every image, every piece of copy that you write. It's trust that it's going to make a difference, trust that it's going to get results. You don't think about it often. That's why I wanted to talk about it today. But trust is a big psychological element of what you choose to do to grow your business and how you choose to implement marketing strategies across your company. So let me explain this in a more tangible way. Let's talk about trust. If I said that there was an approach that you could take to marketing that would cost you $100,000, how would you feel? If I told you there was an approach that would cost you $100,000, but it would yield enough qualified leads that would result in $1 million in sales, how would you feel? What would your reaction be? And so depending on the level of trust that you have in this approach that I lay out for you, and the same thing goes when you go to sell your marketing plan or sell an idea inside your company. Depending on the level of trust that you have in the approach that I lay out for you, or depending on the level of trust that your CEO has in your ability to execute and the efficiency, effectiveness of this plan, that's going to determine whether they say yes or no. If I say, all right, it's going to cost you $100,000, but it's going to yield you $1 million in sales, that sounds great. But do you trust that the approach that I'm putting out in front of you is going to deliver that result? And now it's a lot more complicated than that because marketing is a lot more complicated than that, unfortunately. Sometimes it has to do with, can you bring in the traffic that you need? All right, if I get the traffic to the site, do I trust that our site is set up, our website is set up to be able to convert that traffic into leads? Do I trust that those leads are going to go through our sales process and turn into revenue? So it really comes down to trust. The money that I put into spending on something, is that going to turn into revenue? So I'm going to give you 3 things that you need to incorporate into your mindset to build that trust and take advantage of this as a small marketing team, to not be fearful of the lack of trust that people have in marketing, but to use that to your advantage and to make sure that not only you trust your plan, but you have enough confidence in your plan that you can sell it to others and get results. So the first thing that you can do is work on your funnel. I alluded to this a second ago, where you need to make sure that the ways that you're going to get traffic are going to actually yield traffic, are actually going to bring people to your website. You need to work on how people convert on your website, how they're introduced to your product, how you create buy-in to your belief system and break their old belief system through nurturing emails and video and telling your story. And then your sales process for the leads that are qualified and that are assigned to salespeople, is that as efficient and effective as it could be? If you have 100 leads being assigned to sales every month, how many of those are actually turning into customers and matriculating down the sales pipeline to turn into revenue? So and you have control over all of these things. That's the best part about this, especially if you're a small marketing team. It's not just a binary, we have non-customers and we have customers and we hope that it comes together in the end. There are 50 different stages, little stage gates in between that you can tweak and control and to improve over time. And that's the second thing that I want you to bring into your mindset. So first thing is work on your funnel. The second thing is optimize your funnel. You're not going to get it right from the start. You're not going to hit a home run on day one. So once you put the focus on your funnel, the next is just optimizing it over time. Understanding and using your metrics to understand where you're strong and where you're weak. If you're doing a great job bringing people to your website and driving people to your offers and your landing pages, that's not something that you need to focus on as much as, let's say, the sales process where you're bringing in a lot of leads, but they're not converting into customers. That's where your focus needs to be. And then once that is solid, you use your metrics to determine the next weakest point in your funnel and you attack that. So work on your funnel, optimize over time. And then I said it right there. The last thing is that it's going to take time to gather this data, to optimize, to adjust. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time, but we're talking 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. Because at the end of the day, I want to wrap this up with kind of the end result. In my company, I knew that if I spent X amount of money driving traffic to my website, I knew that 2% of that traffic would convert into leads. And I knew 50% of those leads would be marketing qualified leads that I could then assign to sales. And then 50% of those marketing qualified leads, sales would connect with and deem worthy of continuing to qualify. And a percentage of those would turn into opportunities and a percentage of those turned into customers. Because I worked on my funnel, because I optimized over time and built that into my marketing operations, it wasn't a one-time set it and forget it. I was always looking for time to optimize the funnel and attack the weakest point. And because I did this over time, I had the metrics, and the data is the only thing that's going to give you trust, and that the ultimate solid trust that you need to have confidence in your plan and to be able to sell it internally. I knew that if I spent money on increasing traffic at the top of the funnel, then I knew what the yield would be on the other end because I trusted my process. And that doesn't mean I was happy with the process. I was always trying to improve it, but I had confidence because I put in the time to work on the funnel, optimize it, and then just over time measure the results. I knew that if I put in an extra dollar into driving traffic, it would yield $4 on the other end in terms of new revenue for the company. So that's what I want to leave you with today. Trust is one of the biggest reasons why people don't move forward with marketing. It's not that they don't like Facebook. It's not that they don't like LinkedIn. It's not that they think email marketing is dead. All of those things are what they may be saying outwardly, but it comes down to trust. No, I'm not going to hire another writer for you. No, we can't go to this trade show because I don't trust that what we put into this is going to yield customers on the other end. So if you look at it that way, and even something as simple as an ad in a trade publication or a trade show, you need to look at it from a funnel and from a conversion metric standpoint to show that X amount is going to yield this many customers. And it may be a brand building thing. So where it's not as linear a sales funnel. So it may be that we're going to this trade show and not really to get leads, but just to show that we're part of an industry. And so you need to plug in that cost to, okay, this is actually going to improve our conversion rate when something becomes a lead and sales starts talking to them, and we can show that we are part of the industry and that we're a player and that we understand their problems. That's where it's going to plug in. So it's going to actually improve our lead to customer conversion rate. But that's the mindset you have to have. Lay it all out in your funnel, optimize your funnel, attack the weakest spots, because those metrics that will come out of that are what are going to build trust inside you, but also inside your company. So if you enjoy tips like this, please subscribe to the Small Marketing Teams podcast in iTunes. That's really the only way that we're going to spread this movement is through your subscription, your comments. Tell your friends about it. And I look forward to talking to you on another episode of the Small Marketing Teams show. Have a great day.